pull the pigtails of Posh Porky, the girl who sat in front of me. Her real name was Rebecca Salmon, and she was the daughter of Dan Salmon, who owned the baker's shop on the corner of Brick Lane. Posh Porky knew exactly when and where she was born, and never stopped reminding us all that she was nearly a year younger than anyone else in the class. I couldn't wait for the bell to ring at 4 in the afternoon when class would end, and I could bang my lid for the last time before running all the way down the Whitechapel road to help out on the Barrow. On Saturdays, as a special treat, Grandpa would allow me to go along with him to the early morning market in Covent Garden, where he would select the fruit and vegetables that we would later sell from his pitch, just opposite Mr. Salmon's, and Dunkley's, the fish and chippy that stood next to the baker's. Although I couldn't wait to leave school once and for all so I could join Grandpa permanently, if I ever played truant for as much as an hour, he wouldn't take me to watch West Ham, our local soccer team, on Saturday afternoon. Or, worse, he'd stop me selling on the Barrow in the morning. "I hoped you'd grow up to be more like Rebecca Salmon," he used to say. "That girl will go a long way. The further the better," I would tell him, but he never laughed. Just reminded me that she was always top in every subject. "'Cept arithmetic," I replied with bravado, "where I beat her silly. You see, I could do any sum in my head that Rebecca Salmon had to write out in longhand. It used to drive her potty." My father never visited Jubilee Street Elementary in all the years I was there, but Grandpa used to pop along at least once a term and have a word with Mr. Cartwright, my teacher. Mr. Cartwright told Grandpa that with my head for figures I could end up an accountant or a clerk. He once said that he might even be able to find me a position in the city, which was a waste of time, really, because all I wanted to do was join Grandpa on the Barrow. I was 7 before I worked out that the name down the side of Grandpa's Barrow, Charlie Trumper, the honest trader, founded in 1823, was the same as mine. Dad's first name was George, and he had already made it clear on several occasions that when Grandpa retired, he had no intention of taking over from him, as he didn't want to leave his mates on the docks. I couldn't have been more pleased by his decision, and told Grandpa that when I finally took over the Barrow, we wouldn't even have to change the name. Grandpa just groaned and said, "I don't want you to end up working in the East End, young'un. You're far too good to be a Barrow boy for the rest of your life." It made me sad to hear him speak like that. He didn't seem to understand that was all I wanted to do. School dragged on for month after month, year after year, with Rebecca Salmon going up to collect prize after prize on speech day. What made the annual gathering even worse was we always had to listen to her recite the 23rd Psalm, standing up there on the stage in her white dress, white socks, black shoes. She even had a white bow in her long black hair. "And I expect she wears a new pair of knickers every day," little Kitty whispered in my ear. "And I'll bet you a guinea to a farthing she's still a virgin," said Sal. I burst out laughing because all the costermongers in the Whitechapel Road always did whenever they heard that word, although I admit that at the time I didn't have a clue what a virgin was. Grandpa told me to shh, and didn't smile again until I went up to get the arithmetic prize, a box of coloured crayons that were damned all use to anyone. Still, it was them or a book. Grandpa clapped so loud as I returned to my place that some of the mums looked round and smiled, which made the old fellow even more determined to see that I stayed on at school until I was 14. By the time I was 10, Grandpa allowed me to lay out the morning wares on the Barrow before going off to school for the day. Potatoes on the front, greens in the middle, and soft fruits at the back was his golden rule. "Never let 'em touch the fruit until they've handed over their money," he used to say. Hard to bruise a tato, but even harder to sell a bunch of grapes that's been picked up and dropped a few times. By the age of 11, I was collecting the money from the customers and handing them the change they were due. That's when I first learned about palming. Sometimes, after I'd given them back their money, the customers would open the palm of their hand and I would discover that one of the coins I had passed over had suddenly disappeared, so I ended up having to give them even more bees and honey. I lost Grandpa quite a bit of our weekly profit that way, until he taught me to say, "Tuppence change, Mrs. Smith," then hold up the coins for all to see before handing them over. By 12, I had learned how to bargain with the suppliers at Covent Garden while displaying a poker face. Later,